Hey y'all, Northwest Bad Hub back with another ideally short instructional video. This time going over actual recording the data in field maps for collection of an acoustic monitoring observation for NA BAT. So just go over the survey, overview of the fields and data types, and maybe a little on editing or deleting an observation. Yeah, with that, let's just get to it. So, I'm on an iPad. I'm going to just go ahead and launch field maps. You can also use your Android device. Here is the survey. Remember, if you don't see it, contact us. We should be sharing this with you. One thing I want to stress again, making sure that you're hitting this reload map kind of before you go into the field or before you add offline areas. That ensures that if I've pushed out any updates, that you are getting the most current version of our data collection app. So hitting that is a really good idea to reload. Okay, great. So let's just pretend that I'm already at a site, I'm set up, I'm really ready to record the metadata about my deployment. I've navigated to this site right here. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back there because as soon as I hit collect point, it wants to move the map, but that's fine. So let's come right back and say that, yeah, I'm standing right here and I'm doing this deployment, and it's a redeployment of this 107.441 SW2. So I'm gonna add a new deployment right there because it's the same site, right? So let's just go through the fields. I'll try not to be too exhaustive. There are a lot of fields. A lot of them are required. So you want to just kind of take your time and be ready to get through all the fields. So photo direction right here, because the take photo is there. You should take a good photo of your site. Is it a new site? In this case, it is not. I'm resampling this existing Southwest 1 site. Bunch of auto entry names there for the CONUS identifier, GRITS identifier. The quad, again, this is Southwest. The quad number, so this is kind of confusing. It isn't the GRITS or CONUS number. It actually is, this is the first site established in the Southwest quadrant of this 107.441. And so if you were gonna not sample that site and establish a new one, like maybe over here, because you couldn't get to that site, or maybe it really was a poor place to collect data, that would be SW2, but in this case, we're resampling that site, so it really is, the quad number is just 1 again. It's just we're resampling that site. Site name might be a more descriptive name, like this one. Maybe it's the Pony Creek site. I don't know. Sharps Creek Road site. A descriptive name might be helpful. I know us at OSU at the Northwest Bat Hub, we tend not to do that. We're in Oregon. Directions, type good directions that'll help people hike or drive to the site. Deployment contact. This is actually your crew or your name. Try to be consistent about this. I don't exactly know if there's any hard and fast rules other than if you are doing a lot of sites, try to be relatively consistent about how you enter you or your crew's name. Deployment agency, you know who you are. If you're not on our standard list of partners, you can type in another agency, otherwise you can leave that blank. Deployment information, any comments, this is a really important one, deployment comments, so anything relevant about the site, maybe about the deployment that would affect the data or interpretation of the data, the quality of the data, really important. The recording start date, so that's just the day that you're going to start the recording. The record start time, that's standard, right? So that's in military time, it auto enters, 7:30 p.m. is what we do, so it reads 19:30. Change it only if you need to, only if you didn't set your recorder to start at that 7:30. And then you should probably make another comment about why that was. Recording end date, so usually it's going to be the next day. Record end time, 6:30 a.m. is pretty standard, so that auto enters. Again, edit it only if you need to. I think most of us are using Patterson's. You should know what detector type you're using. Serial number from your device, you know where to get that. CF card, you should know where to get that. Are you using the standard detector settings? What's your microphone height? Your microphone orientation at your target. Land ownership, so we have some land ownership layers on this map, but you can enter in wherever you think you are. Other land ownership type, landowner, so if you're on private land or you need access to a refuge or something, let's try to get the email addresses, phones in there. That'd be really handy. Dominant habitat type or representative habitat type, your distance to clutter elements in meters, your clutter category from not very cluttered to very cluttered, clutter type. This is kind of your dominant clutter type, You can mention other types of clutter. Here is all your other site descriptors, or your kind of deployment targets. You can go through each of these, enter any that are relevant. And then, that's mostly it. There's another space you can enter, another clutter type at the very bottom. So that is all the fields. Once you get there, it is an update point. It's actually upper right corner. You can see up here, you can see that little submit. You can go ahead and submit that record. And that's fantastic. That's what you want to see, that it has been submitted successfully. After it's been submitted, you can go through page to the bottom. You can easily edit that point. So you go back in, enter new comments. Maybe something happens the next morning. You can go ahead and edit that point. You can also delete that point. That's really about the gist of it. I'm going to go ahead and just go back into this. You can see I've selected that point. I've gone into, I can see the attributes for that point I just collected. And I'm actually going to go ahead and be sure, but I think I am going to go ahead and just delete that point. Okay, that's a really basic overview of the best practices for entering in the metadata for your acoustic monitoring deployments for any bad. If that was in an offline map, you would go ahead and sync that when you got back to Wi-Fi, and that's about it. Hey, thanks all.